In order to prepare for this decision, I conducted a survey with 454 respondents, and I received responses from all 7 high schools, and 10.8% were from either middle or elementary school. I first asked students about their previous experiences with digital learning, and 85% of students said they learned less with digital learning compared to in-person learning. 43% of students said their mental health was negatively impacted by digital learning. While 41% of students had difficulty getting questions answered, 38% said it was easy. I believe this shows a growing disparity where, depending on what teacher or classroom you may be in or school you may go to, you are getting drastically different learning environments. 21% said they didn't even have any questions during digital learning. I think this shows a growing disengagement by the student body in digital learning. Next, I asked students what they would want reopening schools to look like in the fall. Between returning 5 days a week, using a hybrid system, or going completely digital, 84% of students supported going back in person in some form, with 42% supporting going back 5 days a week. Next, I asked students if digital learning had to continue, what option would they prefer? Between live streaming classes, using Apex, or completing assignments through Teams, live streaming classes had the clear plurality, nearly doubling either option with 45% of the vote. I believe that this large turnout on this survey represents a growing number of students who want to provide input on what their education will look like. A public comment by Rachel Brash from McDonough High School said it best. Please not only consider the teachers' and parents' wishes, but the students'. It's our future. She, as well as many of the respondents to my survey, felt that because the school system conducted an official survey on how teachers and parents felt, but not students, that their voice didn't matter in their own education. I would like to now take a brief moment, to highlight some of the public comments that were forwarded to me by students, but it looks like they weren't posted on the website. I think I would just also like to address that I think this is an important issue. Students don't have much capacity to give input, but public comment is one of those capacities, and I'm worried that board members haven't had time or haven't been forwarded those comments to actually read and prepare for the vote. Michaela Moore of Thomas Stone High School said, "My eyes and mind only looking at the same screen 24/7 without different activities to help change up how we learn was like learning from the textbook constantly. I was becoming mentally tired by learning in a way that wasn't helping me improve." Kaylin Kohlberg of Westlake High School said, "Coming back to school has its risks, but with limited class sizes, social distancing, and protective health measures, I have faith my school system can keep me safe." Roman Lackner of North Point High School said, "Students are feeling the effects of just this last spring. I fear the prolonged effects of an all-digital classroom environment for another 3 months." Emma Davey of Lackey High School said, "As a student taking 3 AP classes, I feel as if I'm doomed to be underprepared for this year's tests." Emma Schumpert of Lackey High School said, "The interaction among peers and with my teachers gives me more confidence and a drive to learn and complete assignments." Rachel Brash of McDonough High School said, "It's important for a student to be engaged within class, have interactions with the material, and get immediate feedback from teachers." London Brooks of St. Charles said, "For those who either have an inability to concentrate or simply don't have a workspace that will make them successful, the 2 days a week could be a saving grace for them this year. Some students may want to or have to choose to not go to school in person, but it should be just that, a choice." Mary Ellison of La Plata High School said, "Charles County Public Schools is all about teaching and learning. With full-time online education, teachers' ability to teach, you are effectively negating the teacher's ability to teach, and even worse, the student's right to learn. As the student member on this board, I urge the board to vote in favor of allowing all students to return for school 2 days a week if they so choose. It's hard to get 80% of students to agree on anything, but it's clear students overwhelmingly support going back in person and need it to be successful." Thank you.
Thank you, Ian, very much.
Ms. McGraw, if I could make one more comment.
Yes, sir.
I fear that this board is taking the approach of a David versus Goliath situation. Coronavirus seems insurmountable, and it seems like a challenge that we currently can't solve, but we have to face the challenge. Our students, our teachers, everyone in the school system and the community depends on us leading the way. We can't be followers. We have to lead the direction and show what it means to take this head on. Mr. Stoddard's staff, I commend them, and I commend all staff who have been preparing for whatever option this board may choose. But Mr. Stoddard's staff has taken precautions, and they are ready, I hope, for the possibility of going back to school in person. We live our lives in balance. We don't live it in extremes. And health, educational, social, and developmental needs are all at stake here. I don't know anyone who pivots their life on only one need 100%. It's a careful balance that this board needs to find, and I know it's difficult. I know that we're worried if something happens, we're going to be at fault or the possibility, but I have faith in the many, many students who have spoken to me, given me letters, made comments on the survey. Every single student I've talked to, except 15% who would want to opt to stay home, which is still an option, they have faith in this school system to keep them safe, give them a classroom environment that not only teaches them, but is equitable to the students staying at home. It's a balance, and the parents, the students at home need to be making this choice. 27,000 students' hands shouldn't be forced because we're afraid of the challenge. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ian. Appreciate that. Oh. All right.
Could I make a comment?
Yes, you may, Mr. Hurd.
Before we take the vote, I would just like to express to this board, and I appreciate the comments by staff and the attempt to calm the opinion. There's anxiety for coronavirus, and there's anxiety for online learning. I just have to express how deep the anxiety of students will go in their education system if we do not take action, put students in a better situation. They are coming from digital learning. We did what we had to with the time we had, but we are going to severely neglect students' social and developmental needs. I've heard a lot about education. It sounds like digital learning can fulfill educational academic needs, but I'm extremely worried for the future of students' social and developmental needs. Thank you. And that's my final comment.
Okay.
I promise.
Thank you very much. But I also want to make sure you keep in mind that that last part of the staff recommendation does say that as health conditions allow, as the situation moves along, other staff, we will support other learning opportunities for children. Staff will, so it's not just the rest of this, this is my interpretation is correct. Virtual learning will not take place for the entire school year. We're going to start the year with virtual instruction and then phase in as the health crisis allows.
I understand, but I just believe with the positivity rate being below 5%, which is the World Health Organization's recommendation, and the fact that there's a month between now and when school starts, that time is a possibility and situations can change for the worse or for the better.
Thank you.
I would like to implore staff when they conduct the survey to also include the 27,000 students. I know students have their own student view accounts, and I think the parent opinion is extremely important, but I think the students who are actually going to be subjected to whatever plan we choose deserve to be represented in that data.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Hancock?
Yep. And sorry to keep going on. I wanted to support Mr. Hurd in that. And I think as we go throughout this entire process, we do need to keep all the students and their input coming into us as well as possible. They are, well, Herb is a huge asset to us, and I appreciate his input. Thank you.
I agree to that, Ms. McGraw, as well.
So I need to find out two things then. Parent willingness to send their children back for special populations that have been identified in Plan 2A, and staff willingness. Are those the two items, or are there other items that the board would like me to put together?
Would it be possible to add students?
And Mr. Hurd, what would you like me to ask students?
Their comfort level with returning to school in person.
Okay, I can do that. Any other items that the board would like as information so that I
so
can...
I'm gonna have to say something there. That what Mr. Hurd just referred to, that was not in any of the options. That was not in the option that was presented by staff. If you'd like to ask the students in those categories, that's fine. In the special population categories, that's fine. Because staff recommendation was not to bring all students back. Okay, that's clear. Staff recommendation was to bring back the special population students. So those are the students that we should be querying.
May I comment?
Yes, you may.
What I meant by my suggestion is I think regardless of what decision we consider or may reconsider, I think it's important moving forward just to know where our students stand.
Okay.
I agree with you, Mr. Hurd, but for our decision about when to implement option 2A, it's most important to hear from the special population groups. That's all I'm saying.
We do not have public forum, and we have dispensed with that, but we have asked that if the public has any comments, to please forward them to the board, the board email at ccboe.com.
Ms. McGraw?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. I mean this in all good faith. I have a genuine question. Did the board members receive the public comments from students that were sent in?
Miss O'Malley Simpson?
And the only student comment I have in board mail, I have one that came in today. So I think that you're probably referring to the form that was on the website.
I know that
those are not to be, we're not posting those on the website. There's more than close to 300 comments.
At board mail?
No, at board mail, I only have one student letter.
Well, several students forwarded me their public comment and they said they emailed it to boardmail@ccboe.com.